plan for my every step. You promised to always be by my side. I believe that you are the way, you are the truth, you are the light. So I sing this to you. You keep your promises every day. I will believe in everything that you say. Yeah, in the dark I know you're making a way. Jesus, I will trust you. You're always good at everything that you do, and I know everything that you say is true. And every moment you are leading me through. Jesus, I will trust you. I wanna be honest and true and do what's right the way you do. You're teaching me to take a stand and live for you, 'cause I believe that you are the way, you are the truth, you are the light. So I sing this to you. You keep your promises every day. I will believe in everything that you say. Yeah, in the dark I know you're making a way. Jesus, I will trust you. You're always good at everything that you do, and I know everything that you say is true. And every moment you are leading me through. Jesus, I will trust you. Even in the moments I feel alone, I know I can trust that you're working and holding my world in your hands. Even in the moments I feel alone, I know I can trust that you're working and holding my world in your hands. You are the way, you are the truth, you are the light. So I sing this to you. You keep your promises every day. I will believe in everything that you say. Yeah, in the dark I know you're making a way. Jesus, I will trust you. You're always good at everything that you do, and I know everything that you say is true. And every moment you are leading me through. Jesus, I will trust you.
Hello explorers, I hope you have had a really good week. Now, can you believe that this is our last video for the month of October? That means this is the last video in our series on integrity, and it also means this is the last week that you can enter our competition to win these gladiator poles. Now, if you've already entered some of our competitions, if you've taken part in our challenges already and you've sent me a video or a photograph to show, then that means your name is already in our prize bag. Can you see there's a few names in there already? Now, next Sunday, I'm going to be pulling one name out of this prize bag, and that person will be winning those gladiator poles. If you want to get your name into the prize bag, if it's not in there already, then I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can do that this morning. So let's have a look at the first challenge for today. You are going to need something to build a path with. So I've got some pebbles here to build mine with. You could use some felt pens to line up and make some straight lines. You could use some cushions. You could, whatever you've got around your house to make your path. Then you're going to need a ball, or I've got a pom-pom here. And you're going to need a straw or something that you can blow to move your ball along the path. Now, if you haven't got a straw, you could simply just have a go at blowing it without the straw. It's a little bit more tricky. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to build one straight path, okay? You'll need 2 lines that run just alongside each other. And that is going to remind you of the first part of our memory verse. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely. That's a bit like when we tell the truth. There's a straight line. People can see where we're going. It's nice and clear. There's nothing we've got to peer around to kind of try and figure out what's going on. It reminds us we're being truthful, and there's not too much trouble we can get into if we're on a straight path like that. Then, next to your straight path, you're going to make a crooked path, so a bit of a wiggly line. So again, I've used my stones. If you are using, you could use masking tape, you could use pretty much anything to make a wiggly line crooked path. This is going to remind me of the second part of our memory verse, which says, whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. When it says crooked paths, it really means people who aren't being honest. If you try and be sneaky, a bit like Gehazi in our video that we watched last week, then you're eventually going to get found out and get into some trouble. All the corners in the crooked path are all the little problems that we could bump into because we're not being very clear, we're not being very truthful. So you can play a bit of a game with these paths and your ball and your straw. First, see which path is the easiest to get the ball from one end to the other. Straight path is pretty simple. Let's have a go at the crooked path now. That one was definitely much trickier. I kept getting caught out on the different rocks and pebbles as I went along. Now, if you want to challenge someone else in your family, maybe you could make 2 sets of paths and have a race. Or see if someone in your family can say the memory verse faster than you can dribble the ball down the paths. Have a go at that. I want to see how creative you can be in building some interesting paths for our memory verse. Send us a photo or a video and you can get your name into the prize bag for this month. Now I have got one more challenge to show you, one more way that you can get your name into the prize bag for October. But first we are going to watch our video.
This isn't gonna work. I'm gonna do really bad today. I'm gonna forget what I have to say. I might as well just give up. Hi, I'm Graham, and I'm going to fail. Sorry, but I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying to have integrity. Integrity is choosing to be truthful in whatever you say and do. And the truth is, the speech I have to give later today is going to go badly. I am supposed to talk to a bunch of strangers about different kinds of masks, but every time I give a speech, I get so nervous that everything I want to say comes out wrong. I don't know if this happens to you, but I keep hearing these voices in my head. You're not very good at talking to people.
When you tell jokes, they stink.
Other people are way better at this than you. The more I listen to these voices, the more I believe them. So it's probably better if I don't even do the speech today. Can't mess up if I don't try, right? That way you won't be embarrassed. Good point, teddy bear voice. So in today's story, we're learning about how to control what you think. Like that would be helpful. Wait, would that be helpful?
No. I mean, nay.
Aw, thanks for being honest, weird horse voice. I knew I could count on you.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story. Inspired by the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8.
Horatio liked to keep track of things in his head. 5 kinds of cereal in the cabinet. 17 braids on his sister Nala's head. 2 voicemail messages left on his parents' landline phone.
Seriously, Mom? You are so stuck in the 1990s.
Horatio was especially good at keeping track of things that went wrong.
Number 1, we're out of chocolate frosted sugar bomb cereal.
Horatio's mother did not always appreciate his lists.
I did not buy that. Your dad bought that.
Number 2, it is freezing in here.
Put on a sweater.
Number 3, Miss Watson is making us do a group project and they are the worst because everyone else drags me down.
Horatio, can you please focus on something positive for once?
Just keeping it real.
Oh, I know about positive stuff. Miss Christie told us.
Horatio's little sister Nala began rummaging around in the stacks of random paper on the counter.
There is nothing positive about this morning, and I'm positive about that.
Nala pulled out a scribbled-on handout and waved it triumphantly.
Philippians 4:8.
Do not read me a coloring sheet.
Finally, my brothers and sisters, always think about what is true. Think about what is noble, right, and pure.
Mom, make her stop bugging me.
No, this is good.
Think about what is lovely and worthy of respect. If anything is excellent or worthy of praise, think about those kinds of things.
Horatio just glared and checked out the lunch that Mom had packed.
Is this strawberry jam in my sandwich? You know I only eat apricot jam.
Over the next 2 hours, Horatio counted dozens of annoying things.
Number 1, this bus stinks like dirty socks stuffed with Cheetos. Number 2, the classroom door needs some WD-40. Number 3, Miss Watson is wearing yellow, and I hate yellow. Number 4, this pencil is making a giant callus on my finger. Number 5, group projects are still the worst. Number 6, it's way too hot over here.
And to make matters worse, Miss Watson had put Tish James in charge of the group. Ugh.
So, we get to do a report on Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. I'll write the history, and Jordan, you can paint a picture, and Horatio, you research stuff about the land and animals around it.
Number 7, Tish is super bossy.
Oh, and here's a picture of the lighthouse.
Tish held up a glossy photograph and Horatio opened his mouth, ready to complain about how boring lighthouses were. But he couldn't do it. Hatteras Lighthouse, spiraling into the sunset sky, was breathtaking. He could picture walking the beach and waves crashing as the warm light glowed overhead. And Horatio couldn't help hearing an echo of his little sister's voice.
Think about what is lovely and worthy of respect.
There it was, right in front of his face. Horatio found brand new thoughts forming in his brain.
Hey, that looks really cool. That's amazing.
It was as if a switch had flipped in Horatio's head. After seeing one good thing, he started to see more. Jordan had brought in some paintings he had done.
Number 1, Jordan, you are a really great artist.
Miss Watson helped Horatio solve some tough fractions by drawing a funny sketch.
Number 2, Miss Watson is a super creative teacher.
Mom had packed homemade cookies in Horatio's lunch.
Number 3, my mom makes the best chocolate chip cookies on the planet. Who wants to share?
By the time Horatio got off the school bus,
Number 4, Mr. Rob drove us right up to our house because of the rain.
he was actually smiling. Mom met them at the door.
Hey kids, how was school?
At that moment, Nala shook out her wet umbrella all over Horatio. And for a moment, Horatio frowned. Nala braced herself.
Sorry.
Number 5, I have a closet full of dry clothes upstairs.
Nala's eyebrows shot way up.
What happened to you?
Nothing. I just realized I've got some pretty great things to focus on.
So your day went okay?
Number 6, it was positively awesome.
Horatio beamed and ran upstairs to change his wet shirt. He had a lot of brand new lists to make up in his head.
The Apostle Paul wrote, "Finally, my brothers and sisters, always think about what is true. Think about what is noble, right, and pure. Think about what is lovely and worthy of respect. If anything is excellent or worthy of praise, think about those kinds of things." You know what that means? It means you're in charge of what you think about. Maybe you can't control every single thought that enters your brain,
Think about fish. You must think about...
but you can control the thoughts that you focus on. Yes, you can. Having integrity doesn't just mean you're honest with other people. It means you're honest with yourself too. And to do that, you need to try and focus on things that you know are true. The things like, God made you.
God forgives you. God loves you.
He loves you so much that he sent Jesus to die on a cross for you. And he's big enough to bring Jesus back from the dead. So he's bigger than all of the things that you and I worry about. So the one thing to remember from today is this. Focus on what's true. And if you ever feel like you can't control your thoughts, or if the voices inside seem too loud, talk to someone you trust about it. Find someone who will help you stay focused on the truth of God's amazing love for you. You know what? I'm gonna choose not to believe the voices that are telling me that I'm not any good. God made me. I am good. And then I'm going to try to give the best speech that I can. Bet you didn't see that coming, did you?
No. I mean, nope.
Yeah, I thought not. I'll see you around, everybody. I'll be thinking about you. Bye.
What things do you think are good and pure and lovely? What things are good to think about? If you've got a piece of paper and a pen, you can have a go at drawing a thought cloud on your paper. This kind of cloud, we use these to show the things that we're thinking about or things that could be going on in our heads. Maybe you've seen them in a comic book before. Here's a challenge that you can have a go at this week with your thought cloud, and if you send us a photo, we'll pop your name in the prize bag. When you've made your thought cloud, think about what things would God want you to be thinking about. Use that list from Philippians 4:8 to give you some ideas. Then you can either have a look in some magazines or in a newspaper and cut out pictures of the things that are good to think about. Maybe you've got some ideas and you could find them on the internet and print out some photos, or you could draw your own pictures. I'm going to do a little bit of everything. So I've got a picture of my family because I think God wants me to be grateful for my family and think about how much he's blessed me. So I'm going to stick those on my thought cloud. I've also want to think about how I can show love to my family. I think that's a good thing to think about too. Can you recognise this? Do you know where that is? That's a picture of the Oswestry Old Racecourse. Now, I love going there with walks with my dog, and it's beautiful up there because you can see so many of the amazing things that God has made. I think thinking about being in nature and beautiful places that are around us, I think that's a good thing to think about too. Another thing I'm going to stick into my thought cloud. This is a Bible verse that we learnt, I think it was when we were at Maximize, if any of you joined us there. And it reminds me of God's love and God's light in the world. And I think God's word is a good thing to think about. So if you've got a favourite Bible verse, maybe you've got it printed out somewhere, or maybe you could write it on. I'm going to stick that on my thought cloud too. I've also got a picture from our light party from a couple of years ago. Again, thinking about God's light and when there's good stuff that God is doing, that's a great thing to think about. I also like to think about all the fun that we have at the light party and thinking about good things rather than scary things, especially at this time of year. So I'm going to have to move some things around to fit that one into my thought cloud. I'm going to draw some things in my thought cloud as well because I'd like to think about other people. I think God likes us to think about other people, and I'm particularly going to draw a little box in my thought cloud, and it's got a lid on it, and I'm going to draw it so that it's got some patterned paper on. Can you guess why I'm drawing a little box like this? I think God likes me to think about others and to help them. And if you remember in our video last week, we shared with you about our shoebox appeal. So actually, I've drawn a little shoebox in my thought cloud too, because that helps me to think about others and to think about how I can help them as well. That's a good thing that we can think about. When you've stuck all your pictures down or drawn them all in, You can stick this up somewhere in your bedroom, somewhere you're going to see it every day, maybe by the dinner table, so you can talk about it with your family. And then use this to remind you every time your thoughts are maybe going a little bit bad or a little bit grumpy or a little bit moany, think about these things instead and see if it puts you in a better mood and helps you to think more about the things that God would like you to be thinking of. Now, if you want to take a photo of it and send it in, my email address is just in the description box for this video, so you can tell your grown-ups where they need to send those pictures into, or if they've got my phone number, they can send it to me like that. If you missed our shoebox video, we're going to play it for you now, so that you can be reminded of everything you need to do. Half term might be a great opportunity to have a go at filling a shoebox for somebody in another country. I hope you have a really great half term, and I will see you in our next video. Bye!
Morning everybody, it's lovely to be with you today. Now my name is Mary and I've come to talk to you about something that I think is very important. I know it's only the middle of October, but I'm sure that you've already started thinking about what you would like to have for Christmas. These things start very early, don't they? And I'm sure too that when Christmas comes, you will receive some nice presents. But do you know that there are children in some parts of the world who don't get any presents at Christmas? And I thought it would be really lovely if we could share with them something of our joy that we have at Christmas by giving them some small gifts. Now, this is very simple, and I'm just going to talk you through the whole process of what you have to do. We have contact with an organisation that takes shoeboxes full of presents to children in Eastern European countries, such as Romania, for example, and they give these boxes to children who otherwise would have nothing at Christmas, and it brings them great joy and happiness. So I'm just going to explain exactly how you can be involved by preparing your shoebox with gifts. Now, first of all, you need an empty shoebox, such as this one perhaps. It is better if you have a box that has a lid that comes off rather than the fold-on one, because once you've got your shoebox, you then must cover it, and it's easier if the lid is separate, in Christmas paper or any kind of pretty paper. And here's one I've already done, just to show you. Quite tricky covering a box, but I'm sure you'll enjoy doing it, and I'm sure there'll be adults who'll be prepared to help you. Now, once you've prepared your box, you can perhaps go shopping with an adult and buy one or two little gifts. Now, the sort of presents that we have for Christmas are usually quite big presents. I know people who have had new mobile phones and Xbox games and all sorts of things. But for these children who have nothing, even the smallest gift will give them great happiness. For example, in my box, I have prepared for a girl who is between 6 and 11 years. Before you do your shopping for your gifts, you must decide on the age group that you want to send this to. So mine is for a girl aged 6 to 11, and I have bought a hat, like so, and a pair of socks, rather fine, aren't they? And a flannel face cloth, which I'm putting in my box as well, a pair of gloves, a purse, some sweets. Now, these are chewy sort of sweets. Please don't put any chocolate in there, because chocolate will melt and that will make an awful mess and upset your whole box. I've also put in some colouring pencils, a few pens, a toothbrush. Now you might say, well, that's not a very exciting present, but for people who haven't got things that we take for granted, it's very important. So a toothbrush, and of course you need some toothpaste to go with it, is a good thing, or are good things, to put in your box. I've also got rather nice little tin with the cat on the front to keep things in, a comb, a bar of soap to go with the toothbrush and the toothpaste and the face cloth, and then a little sticky pad, a little note clip good to put writing things in because you take it for granted. You can just go and buy a pad and some pens and whenever you want to. But for people who haven't got things like that, they are very important. So a little pad of some sort, packet of tissues, and then it's nice if you have some sort of little toy or something like that to put on the top. So we've just enough to fit in your box like that, and when you filled it up, you put on your lid. Important to put first one other thing, please don't wrap any of the presents you put in, just put them in unwrapped as I have. Then you put on your lid, and once you put on your lid, it's quite important to put on an elastic band because otherwise the lid comes off, the presents are scattered everywhere, and that's not much good, is it? And then you will all have one of these leaflets, and in the leaflet there are a couple of labels. One says boy, one says girl, and it gives different age groups, and you choose your age group, tick the box and stick the relevant label onto your box, as I have done here. This one is for a girl, as I've said, age 6 to 11, and I've put the label on there, so that when these boxes are packed up and sent away, people will know that whatever is in that box is suitable for a girl age 6 to 11. Now, as well as that, we do ask you just to put in, on the leaflet there's a little envelope, if you could just put £2.50 in there, because to take these boxes to these countries costs a lot of money. They go in big lorries, and big lorries need fuel, petrol, diesel to go in them, and that costs a lot of money, and that is what the £2.50 is for. You will also find details on the leaflet as to how you can pay this money online, and if you talk to an adult about that, they may prefer that you do it that way. So I think that's just about it. I've got another box here. This one is for a boy. I've got a hand puppet and otherwise much the same sort of things inside. Now you can have a lot of fun doing this. You can do it as a whole family together planning it, or by yourself, or whatever. But just remember, it would be really lovely to send a box with your love to somebody who otherwise would have nothing at Christmas. And if you would like to, you can put a picture of yourself inside and a little letter. That will be even better. Now, Kat does have some of these shoeboxes in the church at the moment and the leaflets, so you can get both of those things from her, or if you have a shoebox at home, use your own. That's absolutely fine. So it's been lovely speaking to you this morning, and I hope you enjoy packing your love into a box.